We are giving you an up-close look at how military jets quickly scramble to intercept planes that violate presidential airspace. We expect President Donald Trump in Palm Beach County this weekend, and that means a no-fly zone will be in place over his Mar-a-Lago estate. The military reports an uptick in private pilots violating that no-fly zone. So we sent investigative reporter Dave Bowman to learn a little more about how these fighter jets respond at a moment's notice. Dave.
And we learned a lot. These jets are really intimidating. I spent time with the 125th Fighter Wing of the Florida Air Guard. That group is commanded by the North American Aerospace Defense Command, called NORAD. And through the eyes of a veteran fighter pilot, we're able to show you just how the military gets its powerful jets to a potentially troubling scene quickly.
When the alarm sounds, it warns pilots at Homestead Air Reserve Base that a private pilot is flying through restricted airspace near President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. In less than 10 minutes, 2 F-15s take off. Minutes later, the jets confront a private plane that violated temporary flight restrictions.
When any aircraft goes into those airspaces, you do not know what their intent is.
The simulation is set to mirror incidents in the skies when the president is in town.
First intercept at 1400.
Here, a Civil Air Patrol plane plays the role of a pilot mistakenly flying through restricted airspace. The jets intercept, then circle close.
You have to initially respond with the amount of force, basically scrambling fighters in our case. You can establish communications and then de-escalate the whole situation.
Lieutenant Colonel Alex Papp says private pilots he confronts are almost always unaware of the no-fly zone. And when the F-15s intercept planes, pilots first learn size matters.
I would bet the majority are fairly surprised, to be honest.
In this simulation, the private pilot does not comply at first with a radio request from the F-15 to engage. So Colonel Papp flies his plane complete with missiles on its wings close in front of the private plane. It's a maneuver known as the headbutt.
I never have performed a headbutt in real life. Because usually once people notice that there's a fighter pulled up on their wing, they get on the radio pretty fast and they become compliant pretty quick.
In this simulation, the pilot eventually complies. The fighter jets return to Homestead. Eventually, the FAA will consider fining or suspending and revoking the licenses of pilots who violate the no-fly zone. So far, NORAD says it's had to scramble jets from around the southeast to the Mar-a-Lago area on 24 occasions. On 8 occasions, pilots intercepted the planes that flew in the restricted airspace.
We have been fairly busy lately.
Colonel Papp was at Homestead beginning in the year 2020, and that was the last full year of Donald Trump's first presidency. Papp says there were far fewer intercepts back then. The colonel believes we'll see fewer violations of these no-fly zones over time as pilots pay more attention to the consequences.